let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate.
Jimmy Kimmel is a name that is immediately associated with late-night laughter, biting satire, and high-profile celebrity situations. For almost 20 years, Jimmy Kimmel Live has been a mainstay on American television. It is a show that successfully combines comedy and cultural commentary in a way that is not only entertaining, but also thought-provoking. Whether he is delivering emotional monologues on political issues or roasting Hollywood's biggest stars at the Oscars, Jimmy Kimmel has established himself as one of the most influential figures in his field of late-night television. But the recent events that have transpired with Jimmy Kimmel have left the entire world in a state of shock, and it is not the kind of headline that anyone anticipated. When it comes to controversy, Kimmel has never been one to shy away from it. Over the course of his career, he has tackled controversial subjects with humor and compassion, garnering both praise and criticism in the process. The fact that he is willing to test limits has elevated him to the status of a beloved but controversial figure. On the other hand, Kimmel is currently at the epicenter of a storm that has shook the entertainment industry to its very foundations. Outrage, confusion, and a deluge of speculation have been sparked as a result of the incident, which took place in front of millions of people. The social media community is going into overdrive. The fans are going crazy, and the critics are sharpening their pens. What could have possibly occurred that would have resulted in the well-liked comedian of late night transforming into a lightning rod for controversy? Not only has the event in question given rise to significant concerns regarding Kimmel himself, but it has also given rise to concerns regarding the culture of late-night television in general. At the same time that some people are referring to it as a moment of reckoning, others are interpreting it as a sign of the times, which is a reflection of how rapidly public opinion can shift in today's hyper-connected world. In spite of your position, there is one thing that cannot be disputed. This is not a typical scandal. Questions of a difficult nature are being asked by individuals as the dust begins to settle. How did such a rapid escalation of events occur? What effect does this have on Kimmel's professional life? Also, and perhaps most importantly, is it possible for him to recover from the criticism? The situation is being confronted head-on by him, as is typical of Kimmel. But the path that lies ahead will not be an easy one. His every action is being watched out for, and the stakes could not be higher than they are right now. In this video, we will dissect the shocking event in great detail, beginning with the moment it occurred and ending with the explosive reactions that followed. In this section, we will discuss Kimmel's response, the fallout from the public and the media, and what all of this information means for the future of late-night television. A comprehensive investigation into the scandal that has everyone talking is about to take place. It is a story of talent, perseverance, and a keen understanding of what makes people laugh that Jimmy Kimmel has emerged as one of the most influential hosts on late-night television. His rise to prominence is a testament to his ability to make people laugh. It would be an understatement to say that Kimmel's early years did not exactly scream Hollywood star. Brooklyn, New York is where he was born, but he spent his childhood in Las Vegas. On the other hand, it was his strong passion for comedy and his unyielding dedication to his work that put him on the path to becoming a prominent figure in the world of late-night talk shows. It was through radio that Kimmel made his initial foray into the entertainment industry. He worked as a host for a variety of stations, which provided him with the opportunity to hone his comedic abilities. He got his big break when he was offered the chance to become a co-host on The Kevin and Bean Show in Los Angeles. This was the moment that he was given the opportunity. As a result of this, his quick wit and sharp sense of humor attracted the attention of producers, which ultimately resulted in him being cast as the sidekick on the show Win Ben Stein's Money, which is broadcast on Comedy Central. Kimmel's comedic timing and natural charisma were two of the factors that contributed to the success of the show, which resulted in the show being awarded a Daytime Emmy. This successfully demonstrated that Kimmel possessed the qualities necessary to distinguish himself in the highly competitive world of comedy. Kimmel's reputation as a comedic force was further strengthened with the release of The Man Show in the year 1999. The concept of modern masculinity was presented in a manner that was both brash and irreverent in the show. It was because of the success of the show that Kimmel was able to make the transition to late-night television. The show was a hit, and it provided him with the platform that he needed to make the transition. In 2003, he made the decision to launch Jimmy Kimmel Live on ABC, which was a move that would determine the trajectory of his career for the subsequent 20 years. Initially, Jimmy Kimmel Live struggled to establish itself in the competitive landscape of late-night television. This was a challenge for the show. The fact that I was able to compete against such massive figures as Jay Leno and David Letterman was not a simple accomplishment on my part. Kimmel's genuineness, on the other hand, along with his ability to connect with audiences through humor and heart, played a significant role in gradually winning over viewers. His show has garnered a reputation for being one of a kind due to the unique combination of comedic skits, celebrity interviews, and viral moments that it features. Two examples of how Kimmel has carved out a niche for himself that distinguishes him from his peers in the late-night comedy scene are the hilarious Mean Tweets segment and elaborate pranks involving Hollywood's biggest stars. Both of these examples are examples of how Kimmel has become a niche comedian. Throughout the course of his career, Kimmel demonstrated that he was more than just a comedian. He was a comedian. It was through the delivery of powerful monologues on subjects such as healthcare, gun control, and political corruption that he first started addressing concerns of a serious nature. Immediately, he began addressing these issues by utilizing his platform. He recounted an emotional account of the heart surgery that he had to go through in order to save the life of his newborn son in the year 2017. In his entire life, this was without a doubt one of the most memorable moments. Kimmel's ability to strike a balance between comedy and genuine human connection was highlighted by the emotive speech, which resonated with millions of people. This ability was highlighted by the fact that the speech resonated with millions of people. In addition to the scope of his own show, Kimmel's influence extended beyond its confines. Over the course of his career, he has established himself as a highly sought-after host for major events, such as the Academy Awards, which he has hosted on multiple occasions due to his popularity. Due to his sharp sense of humor and his ability to handle high-pressure situations, he became a favorite for live television events, which further solidified his position as a late-night icon. He was able to handle situations that were extremely emotionally taxing. The success that Kimmel has achieved, on the other hand, has not been devoid of significant controversy. Because he is willing to address controversial topics, he has frequently been the target of criticism. This is because he accepts responsibility for his actions. Jimmy Kimmel has never been afraid to speak his mind, beginning with his early days on The Man Show and continuing through his politically charged monologues on Jimmy Kimmel Live. He has never been afraid to do so, even when doing so may cause certain segments of his audience to lose interest in him. As a result of his audacious approach, he has received both praise and criticism, which has contributed to his rise to prominence as one of the most talked-about figures in the world of late-night television. A career that Jimmy Kimmel has built on his razor-sharp wit, his bold commentary, and his ability to walk the line between humor and controversy has proven to be very successful. On the other hand, nothing could have adequately prepared fans or the entertainment industry for the recent events that took place. Shockwaves were propagated throughout Hollywood and beyond as a result of the incident, which has now become the topic of conversation on the internet. The question is, what exactly took place, and why has everyone been left speechless? When Jimmy Kimmel Live was being filmed live, an unexpected on-air moment quickly escalated into a controversy. This is when everything started to go downhill. Kimmel was in the middle of his monologue, delivering his signature mix of biting political humor and celebrity jabs, when he made a remark that immediately caused eyebrows to be raised. The joke, which was directed at a prominent political figure, was not only scathing, but also profoundly personal. It touched on sensitive subjects that struck a chord with viewers from all different political perspectives. Just a few minutes later, social media was ablaze. Clips of the event quickly spread like wildfire, and hashtags such as #KimmelControversy and #JimmyCrossTheLine became trending on Twitter. A number of viewers found the joke to be offensive and accused Kimmel of going too far. They demanded an apology from him, or even demanded that he resign from his position. Others defended him by arguing that late-night hosts are supposed to push boundaries, and that his comment was no worse than the sharp humor that audiences have come to expect from them. On the other hand, the controversy did not end there. There were new facets to the incident that started to become apparent as the internet buzzed. There were suggestions that tensions had been building up behind the scenes at Jimmy Kimmel Live for several weeks, according to reports that surfaced. According to those with knowledge of the situation, Kimmel had a disagreement with the producers regarding the tone of his monologues. Some of the producers believed that he was leaning too heavily into controversial subjects. Those tensions appeared to have reached their zenith as a result of the incident, which brought existing internal conflicts into the spotlight. There were a number of former employees of the show who came forward with their own personal accounts, which added fuel to the fire. They detailed a high-pressure environment in which Kimmel's unwavering commitment to his craft occasionally resulted in heated moments. Despite the fact that these accounts painted a picture of a demanding workplace, they also raised questions about the larger culture of late-night television, which is a world in which high ratings and viral moments frequently come at a personal cost. Immediate and severe consequences appeared as a result. Numerous major news organizations picked up the story, and headlines began to speculate about the future of Jimmy Kimmel Live, as well as Kimmel's professional career. Political commentators voiced their opinions, with some claiming that Kimmel is biased, while others praised him for speaking the truth to those in positions of authority. Even famous people got involved in the conflict. While some people made public statements of support for Kimmel, others chose to keep their distance because they were afraid of becoming embroiled in the controversy. A rival late-night host addressed the incident during their own show, which was a particularly explosive moment in the situation. They questioned whether Kimmel had crossed a line and suggested that the purpose of late-night television should be to entertain rather than to inflame viewers. This criticism was presented in a thinly veiled manner. The comment rekindled the ongoing discussion regarding the function of comedy and political discourse, and the question of whether or not hosts of late-night shows have a duty to maintain a neutral stance. Kimmel remained largely silent throughout the chaos, which fueled further speculation about the situation. Does he intend to issue an apology? What about doubling down on his remarks? Instead, why not just wait out the storm? Both his supporters and his detractors were on edge, waiting to see how he would react to the growing backlash that he was receiving. As additional information became available, the incident took on a life of its own, becoming a focal point for larger conversations about the culture of canceling, the changing landscape of comedy, and the preservation of the right to free speech. In a time when humor is frequently the last refuge for truth-telling, there were those who argued that Kimmel's joke, despite the fact that it was quite controversial, was an essential critique. Others had the opinion that it was an unwarranted attack on their personal life that went beyond the bounds of ethics. What makes this incident so shocking is not just the joke itself. Rather, it is the broader implications that it has for Kimmel's career and the landscape of late-night television. Kimmel has been using his platform to address a wide range of issues, including healthcare and gun control, for a number of years. He has carefully navigated the thin line that separates comedy and controversy. However, this particular moment felt different, and it marked a turning point in the way that audiences interact with late-night hosts and the content that they frequently produce that is divisive. This event will be remembered as a defining moment in Jimmy Kimmel's career, and it is becoming increasingly apparent that this is the case as the dust begins to settle. That it marks the beginning of a downward spiral or the beginning of a redemption arc is something that remains to be seen. At the moment, the entire world is watching Kimmel deal with the aftermath of his comments, and the controversy surrounding them is still going strong. The aftermath of the shocking incident that occurred on Jimmy Kimmel's show was immediately and persistently felt. Within a matter of hours, social media was ablaze. News outlets were scrambling to cover the controversy, and public opinion appeared to be divided into two distinct camps. A number of viewers were quick to criticize Kimmel, accusing him of going beyond the boundaries of what is considered acceptable behavior for late-night comedy. Others were steadfast in their support of him, defending his right to free speech as well as his role as a comedian who will not shy away from addressing sensitive topics. After that, Kimmel was confronted with a media storm that was unlike anything he had ever experienced before. As fans, critics, and celebrities all weighed in on the controversy, social media platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok became battlegrounds. Both #CancelKimmel and #StandWithKimmel trended at the same time, which reflected the conflicting manner in which people responded to the news. On the one hand, Kimmel was criticized by critics for what they considered to be an offensive and unnecessary jab. One of the users tweeted, "Is this supposed to be a comedic piece? It's too late to stop him." In the past, late-night television was more about making people laugh than it was about making personal attacks. Advocates, on the other hand, had a different perspective on the matter. Another user added, "Kimmel is doing what every great comedian does, using humor to speak truth to power. Kimmel is doing both of these things. You might be the source of the problem if you are unable to deal with it." Users were sharing clips of the incident, dissecting every word, and even dragging previous controversies into the spotlight, which contributed to the heated debate that ensued. The response from the media was equally divided by opinion. There were extensive analyses of the incident that were published by major outlets such as the New York Times and CNN. These analyses explored the incident's wider implications for comedy and free speech. In a politically charged environment, some commentators argued that Kimmel's joke was a necessary critique, highlighting the role of late-night hosts as modern-day satirists despite the fact that the climate was politically charged. Kimmel's opinion pieces, which were titled "When Comedy Goes Too Far" and "The Fine Line Between Humor and Harm," prompted some individuals to question whether or not he had exceeded his authorized boundaries. A number of conservative media outlets took advantage of the opportunity to criticize Jimmy Kimmel, portraying him as a representation of the liberal bias and elitism that exists in Hollywood. One commentator on a well-known news network stated, "This is exactly what we've come to expect from Jimmy Kimmel." It was a statement that was made. Comedians who are out of touch with reality and who, under the guise of humor, push their agenda. There was a call for accountability from these outlets, and some of them even suggested that advertisers should rethink their partnerships with Jimmy Kimmel Live. While this was going on, competitors who competed late at night subtly weighed in on the controversy. In what appeared to be a pointed monologue, one of the competing hosts made the following observation: "It's a tough gig when your jokes hit harder than expected. To put it simply, we are all here to make other people laugh. Isn't that right?" The jab was not missed, which added fuel to a fire that was already raging. It was noticed. Famous people started taking sides as the controversy became more widespread. Several of Kimmel's closest friends and regular guests came to his defense and agreed with him. One of the A-list actors in the world tweeted, "Jimmy has always been a straight shooter. That is the reason why we adore him. He does not shy away from expressing what all of us are thinking." In the world of comedy, there is another prominent figure who made the following observation: "If we start censoring jokes, where does it end? The purpose of comedy is to test our abilities." On the other hand, not all responses were extremely positive. A prominent political figure, who was indirectly mentioned in Kimmel's joke, issued a scathing public statement, describing his remarks as deeply inappropriate and an abuse of his platform. Kimmel's joke was a reference to this political figure. As a result of this statement, public opinion became even more divided, with some people praising the figure for taking a stand, while others accused them of being overly sensitive. Because of the incident, the ongoing discussion regarding cancel culture was rekindled, as was inevitable. Kimmel's detractors demanded that he step down from his position, arguing that his joke was not only offensive, but also representative of a more widespread problem that exists within the late-night television industry. According to the words of one critic, "We have arrived at a point where these hosts believe they are uncontrollable. The time has come to take responsibility." On the other hand, supporters resisted what they perceived to be an excessive response. A prominent comedian tweeted, "Cancel culture strikes again," referring to the phenomenon. What is the point of living if we are unable to find humor in the absurdity of life? Kimmel was doing his job, which was to make us laugh while simultaneously making us think. This divide highlighted the growing tension that exists between those who advocate for greater accountability in the media and those who defend the freedom to create without interference. The backlash was not confined to the discourse that exists online. In the days that followed the incident, there was a discernible decrease in the ratings for Jimmy Kimmel Live, and some people speculated that advertisers might withdraw their support if the controversy continued to escalate. Meanwhile, insiders in the industry have hinted at discussions that took place behind the scenes between Kimmel and executives from ABC, despite the fact that no official statements were released at the time. As the public and media backlash reached a fever pitch, all eyes turned to Jimmy Kimmel. Known for his quick wit and unflappable demeanor, Kimmel had faced criticism before, but this time was different. The stakes were higher, the outrage louder, and the calls for accountability more intense. After days of silence, Kimmel finally broke his silence, addressing the incident head-on in a way only he could, blending sincerity with his signature humor. During the opening monologue of Jimmy Kimmel Live, just days after the controversy erupted, Kimmel walked out to a noticeably quieter audience. He started with a joke, as expected. "Well, it seems I've upset a few people. Again." Who knew late-night comedy could be so controversial? The joke was met with a mix of nervous laughter and applause, setting the tone for what was to come, a candid, unfiltered response to the backlash. Kimmel then shifted gears, acknowledging the seriousness of the situation. "Look, I'm a comedian. My job is to make people laugh, but sometimes in trying to do that, I cross lines I didn't intend to. If I've offended anyone with my recent comments, I genuinely apologize. That was never my goal. If I've offended anyone with my recent comments, I genuinely apologize. That was never my goal." His tone was sincere, a departure from his usual comedic bravado. He went on to explain the context behind his joke, emphasizing that it was never meant to be a personal attack. The joke was about highlighting a broader issue, not about targeting individuals. "I've always believed comedy is a way to bring attention to things we might not talk about otherwise. But I also understand that sometimes humor doesn't land the way you expect it to, and for that, I'm sorry." Kimmel also took the opportunity to reflect on the evolving role of comedy in today's society. We're in a time where every word is dissected, every joke analyzed, and honestly, that's not a bad thing. It keeps us accountable. But it also means we, as comedians, need to be more mindful. The line between humor and offense has never been thinner, and I'm still learning how to navigate that. His response didn't stop there. Kimmel addressed the personal stories and concerns raised by former employees who spoke out about the work environment at Jimmy Kimmel Live. "I've always prided myself on fostering a team that feels supported and valued. But if anyone has felt otherwise, that's on me, and I'm committed to doing better. We've already started making changes to ensure our show remains a place where everyone feels respected and heard." The reaction to Kimmel's response was mixed. Supporters praised him for taking responsibility without losing his sense of humor. "This is why I love Jimmy Kimmel," one fan tweeted. "He owns up to his mistakes and grows from them." Others, however, felt his apology fell short. "An apology is nice, but where's the real accountability?" a critic commented online. The divide underscored the challenges Kimmel faced in trying to reconcile with both his supporters and detractors. Despite the mixed reactions, Kimmel's response marked a turning point in the controversy. It showed a willingness to confront criticism head-on while staying true to his comedic roots. "I'm not perfect," he concluded, "but I'm committed to learning, growing, and doing what I do best, making you laugh, even if sometimes it means making myself the punchline." Kimmel's candidness and humility were a reminder that even public figures are human, capable of mistakes and growth. Whether his response would be enough to repair the damage and rebuild trust remained to be seen, but one thing was clear: Jimmy Kimmel wasn't backing down. Instead, he was using the controversy as an opportunity to reflect, adapt, and continue his journey as one of late-night TV's most dynamic hosts. In the context of a larger discussion about the changing function of late-night television, the controversy that has surrounded Jimmy Kimmel's recent incident is not just about one joke or one host. Rather, it is a flashpoint in the conversation. Late-night shows have been an essential component of American culture for many years. These shows provide viewers with a variety of comedic and lighthearted skits, as well as interviews with celebrities, in order to assist them in unwinding. However, over the course of the past few years, these programs have become increasingly political, frequently serving as platforms for incisive commentary on a variety of social and cultural questions. The late-night television industry has been put under the microscope as a result of this shift, with hosts such as Kimmel walking a fine line between laughter and controversy. Television that airs late at night has always been known to push boundaries, but the stakes are higher than they have ever been before. Every joke, monologue, or segment can be instantly dissected, analyzed, and criticized on social media in today's hyper-connected world. This includes the ability to share videos. What was once considered to be a line that was thrown away now has the potential to incite outrage, divide audiences, and even threaten careers on a professional level. Kimmel is not the first host to be subjected to criticism. Other notable figures, such as Stephen Colbert, Trevor Noah, and even the legendary David Letterman, have all dealt with their own controversies within their respective fields. However, in this day and age of digital technology, the public's reaction to incidents of this nature has become significantly more intense and rapidly more rapid. Due to the increased scrutiny, questions have been raised regarding the responsibilities of hosts who work late into the night. Do they merely serve as means of entertainment, or do they also play a more significant role as cultural commentators? The ability of late-night television to combine humorous commentary with thought-provoking analysis, thereby shedding light on significant issues in a manner that is approachable and interesting, is one of the reasons why some people find it appealing. On the other hand, some people believe that these shows have deviated too far from their initial purpose, becoming excessively political and alienating certain segments of their demographic. In addition, the controversy surrounding Kimmel sheds light on the widening gap between people's perspectives on comedy. During this time period, when the level of sensitivity regarding social and political issues is at an all-time high, something that is considered humorous by one group may be extremely offensive to another group. Because of this, a more extensive discussion has been sparked about the function of comedy in dealing with serious subjects. If comedians want to avoid offending their audience, should they be allowed more leeway to explore truths that they find uncomfortable, or should they be required to adhere to more stringent boundaries? By highlighting the intense pressures that late-night hosts face in an environment that demands constant viral content, the controversy that has surrounded Jimmy Kimmel has brought attention to the situation. The situation involving Kimmel demonstrates that a single mistake can rapidly develop into a full-blown scandal, which forces both hosts and networks to take responsibility for their performance. The challenges that late-night television faces in balancing its traditional role as a source of entertainment with its growing influence as a platform for cultural and political discourse are brought into sharper focus by this incident. The response that Kimmel provided, which comprised both humor and introspection, demonstrated his willingness to engage with criticism. The episode is a defining moment in his career, regardless of whether it is considered to be a violation of the rules or a successful performance of his comedic role. In addition to this, it gives rise to broader discussions regarding the boundaries of comedy, the responsibility of the public, and the ever-changing expectations of audiences. Considering the far-reaching implications of this controversy, it is important to highlight the delicate balance that late-night hosts need to maintain between entertaining their audience and addressing sensitive topics. The ability of the industry to adapt while maintaining creative freedom will be a determining factor in the future of late-night television, since the genre is constantly evolving. At the end of the day, this particular instance serves as a reminder of the power that words possess and the impact that they are capable of having. His story is far from over, and the entire world will be watching as he continues to shape the future of late-night television. Regardless of whether Kimmel emerges stronger or faces lasting consequences, there is one thing that is certain: his story is not yet over.